We're going to start off with team StampBook. Up you come.
I think I'm next. It's exciting.
Right, guys, thanks everyone for coming, especially on live stream. Thanks for joining us for our special last day of the course. It's been a hard 14 weeks. We've put a lot of effort into it. I'll introduce you to the guys. I'm Chris. This is Jordan. We both worked on the back end. We've got Will and Rosie who worked on front end, and we've got John that did a bit of both and came up with our idea, who's going to give you a quick intro on what the idea is and how we came up with it.
Yeah. So StampBook is a collection app. It's like a photo collection app. Effectively, the idea came from a YouTube video I watched about 3-4 weeks ago, and it was about a couple who visit every train station in the UK. It was kind of like the video log it, and it's slightly like a bit bizarre, but it's kind of like I was watching it and thinking people go to all these train stations and things like that, and they want like evidence of them, or they go out to different landmarks in cities and things like that, and they want evidence of that. And it was kind of also inspired by the Bee in the City like artwork installation. You probably noticed as you're wandering around Manchester as well. Like if you start hang around one of those bees for a little while, you'll notice like families come along and they'll check off on a map and they'll go like, oh, we visited this one, where's the next one, sort of thing. And that was like quite interesting. It was quite fun, and so we took that idea and we made it a game. We gave it like a gamification, effectively, of you can go around any city. In our case, for this demonstration, it's Manchester, but go around to these landmarks or places of interest in these cities and take a photo in front of them and check it off in effectively in like a sort of collection. And show your friends, and say like, oh, I've been to Manchester, or I've been to Berlin, and things like that. And these are the things that we did. So we're effectively gamifying sightseeing. But I think it's quite a cute little app, and I think the rest of the team think it's quite a cute little app as well. So I'm going to pass you on to Jordan, who's going to talk a little bit about our back end. Yeah, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, as you can see on the top, we've got Node.js, Express, Mongo, Mongoose, and Firebase. Just to answer a quick question that probably a few people are asking now, why MongoDB and Firebase? So, firstly, Firebase-wise, the only thing Firebase is doing for us is just holding the photographs to be approved in a sort of storage. I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Secondly, we realized quite early on that MongoDB has the ability to make geospatial queries, which for our app, we decided like straight away, that's pretty much the main functionality for us. Hosting, we've got Heroku and MLabs, tried and tested, we've done it before. Testing-wise, we've got Supertest, Mocha, and Chai. Chris and I were quite intent from the very start to have like a TDD style. So like we like to think it's relatively in depth as well. Like we testing the keys, we testing the values. We've got, because of the way the scheme is structured as well, we've got loads of stuff belonging to each other. So we've got objects within objects within objects, which are all tested. So you're probably asking as well, how is the geospatial stuff working? How does the app work in itself? So Chris and I realized early on through the Firebase storage, whenever you upload something there, it's got a download URL. So we jumped over to front-end land for a bit and realized that what we'd have to do there is we'd have to upload a photo and be able to get that download URL to pass with the landmark to check against whether that's okay. We realized we could do that, and then we're pretty much okay to move forward, really. So what happens is the user will take a photograph. We can get the geolocation, i.e. their current coordinates right now, the landmark they want to check against. And then what goes on there is we upload that to Firebase. We make sure to include the coordinates and the username in the actual file name. which admittedly is a bit dirty and we could probably do it a better way. But the EXIF data, when we were looking at that, it was really on and off whether it would be in the actual photograph or not. So we thought, rather safe than sorry. We then extract that information on the back end, which isn't amazingly difficult, and then do a geospatial check against the coordinates. That will return either an empty array or a populated array. If it's an empty array, we know that we can unfortunately tell the user that they're not in the vicinity. Otherwise, we then put that landmark as a visited landmark in the user, and we upload that photo into the actual storage facility through Mongo. And I shall pass you on to Rosie.
Thank you. So for the front end, because we knew that the app is intended for people who are going to go sightseeing when on holiday, and they would essentially need to have the app with them when they're out and about. So it just made sense to use React Native to build the front end of it. We also used Expo, which is a very helpful tool built around React Native that basically helps you develop cross-platform apps. So that was really helpful. In terms of the packages that we used on top of React Native, we wanted to use Mapbox initially to render an app in the front end, but we found out that basically Mapbox doesn't actually work with Expo, and so we decided to use React Native Maps. Camera functionality is part of Expo, and so we just used the React Native camera component that is essentially just the front end that accesses the camera. And we also use React Navigation that basically does the routing and navigation between the different screens of the app, and it also we use that to create a menu that you can quickly navigate to different parts of the app. We also did some snapshot testing with Jest as well, and now me and John are going to do a quick live demo.
That was quite seamless, that little transition. I'm going to say so. Yeah, so we're just going to go through just how you would generally use the app in a kind of quick manner. So you can see we've got like a little, I probably stood in the way, I imagine, from this side of the room, but maybe. Okay, so you just like a normal login screen. We've just got a little test user. And yeah. No, it's definitely awake. I woke it up before. There we go. Yes, so you presented with a screen of with countries, supported countries. At the moment, slight lie that France is supported because it's only the UK is supported. But if you if you click on there, and you can see that it brings you to a big list of supported cities. If you scroll down, you can see that we've got like all the different cities and the kind of progress that we've already got going on. So if you click on Manchester, it'll open up with all of our supported landmarks in Manchester. So yellow pins are for collected landmarks, places of interest. Purple pins are for landmarks or places of interest to collect. And the red one is current location, yeah. And so did we all see the lovely picture of Will outside the National Football Museum? Yeah. There's another photo in a bit where it's just us three sat outside with a laptop while like we're trying to get this sorted sort of thing with this picture. But yeah, so if you so kind of you go to a landmark, you click on the landmark, you take the picture, and so I think this is going to be hello. Everyone has a nice wave. Yeah, and we're going to upload. There's going to be pictures from a wedding I went to yesterday as well, so just ignore them. And yeah, so we upload this, and it'll check our backend, and it'll go, yep, you're in that location, because we are indeed at Northcoders, and updates the progress, and yeah, so we've ticked that pin off, and we can go back around Manchester and explore the other landmarks and places of interest as well. But I think in terms of just thoroughness, should we try an erroneous thing? So we're clearly not near Piccadilly or in Piccadilly Gardens at the moment, but we'll try and upload a photo. Just use the same one. So this'll check against the back end again, and it'll go, you're not in that location. don't think this is we'll take you back outside. And so it's kind of there's no way, there's not really much incentive to cheat, I guess, if you wanted to go around and go, I've been to all these places, look, and then there's no photographic evidence or things like that. There was a rather big problem with Pokemon Go and people spoofing locations, but what's the benefit, effectively? You're only cheating yourself and your friends. But we're going to pass you on to Chris, who's going to talk a bit about our workflow and kind of like our organizational methods and things, how we basically got through the last 2 weeks.
So over the course, we did a lot of pair programming in groups of 2. So this was the first time we actually did a proper group project that, over a longer period of time, say than 2 days. We did a lot of sprints over the course, which was really beneficial. So yeah, this was a big project, so we need to implement a few different things to that project to make it move smoothly, hopefully achieve our MVP, which, as you can see, the app functional to what we wanted it to be. So we did that with daily stand-ups. At first, we had 1 to 2 a day in the first week to make sure everyone was on the same wavelength. We were doing a lot of research at the start, so it was all kind of like, is this going to work with this? We had to all come together and have a conversation before we went off and did a bit of code, which was what we did originally. So it was a bit of a different process. We had a Kanban board which tracked all activities. I think we ended up with something like 80 odd tickets or something on there. As you can see, we've got 71 done, but there was a few to do and some in progress. Some evidence of the stand-ups there, where we just jotted some ideas down. Just went through them with each other. Again, there's the photo we spoke about before, where there was actually a day out across the road. They didn't know I was taking a photo, but I thought I'd just take one. I think we worked really well together. I think the project went quite smoothly. Everyone knew where everyone was up to. We had Git version control also on there, so anything that was being uploaded to Git or anything that was being updated, we ensured that it wouldn't cause any issues to any other part of the app, which was really smooth. There was no issues really with anything, any pull requests merging. It was all transitions quite nicely. Everyone worked really hard, and we did pair programming on front end, back end, as we've done for the course. Real benefit to that is you've got an extra pair of eyes, which is beneficial because you could spend up a day not being able to solve anything, and someone can solve an issue sat next to you in a couple of seconds. It saves your entire half a day, and you would never have thought of that because it's someone else's brain, I think. Again, TDD, we did a lot of TDD on the back end and some on the front end as well. But other than that, yeah, that's sort of how the project went, quite smoothly. Over to Will to talk about what we do in the future for the app.
Yeah, cheers, Chris. Going forward, there's quite a few directions that you could take this app. You might have seen it on the sidebar then, that there's friend activity. That's one thing we definitely want to incorporate. So it just brings in like a social aspect, and also just increases the popularity, like word of mouth, more downloads. There's also create your own collection. So the example that I use is if you've got a group of mates who all like football, one of you can create a football stadiums collection. And then all your mates can go out, take pictures, again, just incorporate social aspect. And you could use that for loads of different things. You could get businesses involved for different chains of the shop. There's no real reason why this couldn't work in every country, really, because every country's got cities, and all those cities got landmarks, things to see in those cities. So there's no reason why it couldn't work all over the world. And then another thing is leaderboards. Just bring in that competitive edge, and you could do that on different size scales. So you could have like global leaderboard, country, city, local. So yeah, they're just a few different things that we definitely want to incorporate. But I'll pass you over to Jordan with some problems and what we do differently.
So to start off with, kind of going back to what Chris said about the first few days, we'd probably try and get a bit of a storyboard idea going on as well about exactly what we really fully want out of everything. And then that might have been a bit easier to incorporate some of the things that we wanted to incorporate previously, like adding a landmark, for example. The Firebase authentication, like Chris and I looked at this for a good 2 days, like trying to be able to log in via Facebook, which again would tie in with being able to gamify this loads with your friends. In all honesty, we're getting places, but once you'd log in, it just hung on the screen, and it was amazingly difficult to work out what was going wrong. More in-depth testing on the front end. We've got like a couple of tests running and everything, like that's really good, but we just thought maybe instead of just screenshot tests, we'd have a bit more. And research before implementation, which kind of ties into the first two as well. I think one of the major problems with this one though was finding out how the geospatial queries work, because they needed more points than we'd previously put in, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but because the tests were so in-depth as well, we had to go back and change the test, because now they were filling the tests in, change all the landmarks in. Yeah, it was just a bit of a nuisance. And with that, I'll conclude. And any questions, anyone?